Hey everybody, this is Lions Den with another news and commentary. My Hawaii trip is about to end, but this story to me is extremely disturbing. This article comes from AL.com. It says a black man found hanging had sued Alabama police for brutality. It's not self-deletion, Widow says. So, Denorius Richardson, age 39, was found hanging by a rope, deleted in an abandoned house in Colbert County on September 28, 2024, courtesy of the family. So we have another lynching, and I don't want people to come into my comment section saying, "Well, this doesn't exist anymore. People pass beyond that." It's still happening in this country, and this story is going to show you that it still exists. You know, we're talking about a 39-year-old man who is being harassed by police in Alabama. And a lot of people are going to sweep that under the rug and going to say, well, it was self-deletion, blah, 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 blah. But the article what I'm about to read to you is telling that it's still going on. It's still going on to this day. So
That's gonna be something.
we're going to go ahead and we're going to read this article in a second, but it shows you, ladies and gentlemen, that it's still going on. It says a black man found deleted in an abandoned house in Colbert County last month had earlier this year filed a federal lawsuit against Sheffield police officers allegedly police brutality. Denorius Richardson, 39, of Sheffield, was found hanging by a rope on September 28, said civil rights attorney Roderick Van Daniel, who represents Richardson in a federal lawsuit. Van Daniel has called for a federal investigation of what he said is a suspicious death. A U.S. attorney, Prime Escalona, said she was not familiar with the case. We can't deny or confirm the existence of any investigation, said the FBI public affairs specialist Tony Herrera Fast. Colbert County Sheriff Eric Valentine said his office has investigated and ruled a death a self-deletion. I'm gonna stop you right there. So basically, with like other stories, and I told you I've been doing stories about lynchings for years, and it's still happening to our people. This is never going to change. This is never going to. These are still happening to this day. And I'm going to read more of this article in a second, but people need to be aware what America is right now. And this is never going to change, and I'm telling you right now, you know, y'all can sugarcoat it, y'all can sweep it under the rug, y'all can do whatever you need to do.
Take care.
But at the end of the day, it's still going on. It's still going on, and they always said it was self-deletion, which is not true. It's not true. So, and it continues, says Colbert County Sheriff Eric Valentine said his office has investigated and ruled a death of self-deletion. We received a call of a suspicious vehicle at a residence on High 72 on the west side of Colbert County, Valentine said. When our deputies go down to investigate the suspicious vehicle, they located Mr. Richardson. He was hanging from a beam on a carport. Richardson's wife, Leigh Ann Richardson, said she is absolutely convinced it was not a self-deletion. I need answers, she said. This was made to look like a self-deletion. It's not a self-deletion. She said that Richardson has been repeatedly arrested, beaten, and harassed by Sheffield police officers who said they would drop charges against him if he would drop the federal lawsuit. He repeatedly refused, she said. So that is the motive, right? He basically is filing a federal lawsuit against these police officers And so he threatened him, saying that, okay, if you don't do this, we'll do this. And he said, okay, here's the deal. We will drop the charges if you drop the lawsuit. And he said, no way. I'm not going to fall for that. I'm not going to believe in that. So this is crazy, guys. And this is just the beginning of what's going on, right? So it says they harassed him his whole time. Richardson had filed a lawsuit on February 26 against several Sheffield police officers, including former Sheffield Police Lieutenant Max Dotson. So it's continued that Dotson was filed a separate incident after he was found guilty of a December 2022 assault against another black man while off duty. Dotson, 4 other officers, and Police Chief Ricky Terry was named in the lawsuit as having taken part in abusive behavior while Richardson was detained in the Sheffield City Jail from November 30th until December 1st, 2022. Any abuse of inmates is contrary to our policies, Sheffield Mayor Steve Stanley said. I have preached repeatedly that everyone we encounter, whether they committed a crime or not, deserves. I'm trying to read this. But they're still going to do what they're going to do. It's never going to change, right? So it says any abuse of inmates is contrary to our policy, Sheriff Mayor Stephen Stanley said. I have preached repeatedly that everyone we encounter, whether they committed a crime or not, deserves respect and human treatment. That's what the Sheffield Mayor said. So he's been harassed by these officers for a while before he was unalive. So this is crazy. And so what we're seeing, and I told y'all before, this is a continuation of this. So we're going to continue to read this article and say, because this is getting worse and worse as this article goes on. So it says, any abuse of inmates is contrary to our policy, Sheffield Mayor Stephen Stanley said. I have preached repeatedly that everyone we encounter, whether they committed a crime or not, deserve respect and humane treatment. I am hoping that the philosophy and standards is embraced by all our employees. The small northwest Alabama town with a population of about 9,307 residents is predominantly white, 71%. It has a black population of about 23%, according to census data. Efforts to reach Chief Terry and attorneys representing the city and the office were not immediately successful. AL.com also reached out to attorneys for Dotson for comment, but had not received a reply at the time of publication. Stanley said he hopes other officers abide by expected standards. So the mayor is basically saying that everybody been treated equally. In other words, I'm just paraphrasing it. Everybody was treated equally under the law, blah, blah, blah. But no. So it's crazy, guys. It's really, really crazy. So, excuse me, I had a cold. So, excuse me for that. But, yeah, this is crazy. So, we're going to continue this article in a second, but it shows you that this is going to change. And at the end of the day, these officers are still going to do what they're going to do. I mean, in this situation. Even though he's been fired from a previous police department, and now he's still getting away with it. So they say always concerned that potential exists for that occurred, Stanley said of police violence against people in jail. It's unacceptable. It's contrary to the principle and the policies that the city of Sheffield has. The mayor said the mayor said he knew Richardson personally. I'm sorry to hear of his deletion, Stanley said. I have a couple of meetings with the Norrises in the past, and they always have been civil and congenial. I certainly didn't harbor any ill will against him. Attorneys for the defendants in the federal lawsuit filed a motion with the court on September 30th that Richardson had deleted. On September 19th, they had requested a stay of discovery in the case, which was granted. The circumstances would have probably been discovered to be not as prejudicial to the city as charge suggested, Stanley said. It was a complicated situation as I understand it. There was an altercation that may have been initiated by the inmate. Mrs. Richardson, who married Richardson in 2012, said that Sheffield police had been harassing Richardson since he was 5 years old. They had harassed him his whole life, she said. Richardson was the father of 5 children. So, the same police department harassing this brother since he was 5 years old, since he was a boy, he was a child. And now, that because he was planning to file a federal civil rights lawsuit against the Sheffield Police Department, all of a sudden, you find him deleted by hanging him. And they said, well, I'm confident that it was self-deletion. Okay. So this is what the charge was. Richardson was the father of 5 children and coached youth baseball and football for the past 14 years, he said. There were charges brought on him and animal cruelty, she said. He bred and sold puppies. They tried to label him as a dog fighter. He was not a dog fighter. He was a dog breeder. He took pride in his animals. He took them to the vet. He fed them every day. He made sure they were on the correct chain. He went by the book. In a lawsuit, Richardson alleged that Dotson and the other officers beat him, strapped him in a restraint chair for hours while telling him nobody can help you. Richardson also alleged police tased him and sprayed him with a mace in his cell. And this, I'm telling you, this is going to get worse and worse as this article goes on. So, it's crazy how this story is. And I'm telling you, this is going to get worse as this article goes on and time goes on. And so these police officers can do what they do and try to get away with it and say it's okay. And it's really not okay. It's not okay. But, I just found out about this story on X and I'm just shocked. Well, I'm not shocked, but just people just have to figure out what can they do at their end to stop all of this. Because, again, people are going to say he's self-deleted, which we know he wasn't self-deleted. It is case after case after case of incidents like this happening. So it says the lawsuit says that Richardson was charged with second-degree assault against Lieutenant Dotson. Now, on January 9, 2024, Richardson was back in the city jail, and when he tried to call 911 for medical assistance, he said officers physically took the phone and threw him down in his cell. He was charged with making a false emergency report, the lawsuit said. Mrs. Richardson said he had been arrested in jail on drug charges, and she said officers offered to let him go if he dropped the federal lawsuit. It was a bribe to make him drop the lawsuit, and he never would, she said. See, this is disturbing of all means. You got police officers now has tried to bribe him, tried to say, look, we'll let you go if you drop the federal lawsuit, which he said, no way, I'm not doing it. and now his life is in danger because of it. So it's crazy. When I read this article, it shows you that this situation with our people is getting worse and worse and worse. And it's heartbroken. You losing a husband, a father, because he's trying to do the right thing and protect himself and his family. And this is just shocking. So she continues to say Richardson was out on bond at the time of his deletion, she said. He was incarcerated on drug charges. He was allowed to get out of jail, supposedly to travel out of state to be with a relative, Valentine said. Right after the release, he told his probation officer that he was not going to comply with the restrictions of the release, so a warrant was issued for his arrest. Mrs. Richardson said that Richardson had put his uncle in Washington State down as his guardian for probation purposes, but was told he had to be working and be close to his guardian. He would have to move to Washington away from his children, Mrs. Richardson said. So he told her he decided to turn himself in and serve his time, she said. She last heard from him on Wednesday, September 25th, and on September 26th reported him missing with the Sheffield police. She said Sheffield police in the missing person report and on the other documents referred to Richardson as a white male, although they knew he was a black male. We spoke to his family members that said that the last time they had spoken to Mr. Richardson, and I'm going to stop right there. We're going to continue this article because this to me shows you that this is going to get worse. So it's, ladies and gentlemen, this is just another case, and it shows you that they try to be above the law, but they're not. So we're going to continue reading this article in about a minute, but this is still happening. And so it says, we've spoken to family members that said that the last time they have spoken to Mr. Richardson, he had been depressed, worried about his future as far as the charges he was looking at. He was just down and out. He was giving some of his property away. It appears to be apparent self-deletion, Valentine said. Now, the DA's office ordered an autopsy. The body was sent to the Department of Forensic Science in Huntsville. The cause of death was self-deletion. Mrs. Richardson said that on September 25th, Richardson gave some of his jewelry to his son to keep, not because he expected to be deleted, but because he expected to return to prison and finish serving his time. He was trying to do the right thing. And he was trying to do the right thing by turning himself in. But look what happened to him. Look what happened to him. It's got worse and worse. So it's just, wow. So we're seeing what is going on now. That he was trying to turn himself in to avoid, being captured by these officers. But again, it shows you that nothing's going to be changing. And it's just sad. It's really sad.
That's a line? What? That's a line?
Oh, boy. So the article continues in a minute, but it just blows my mind right now. It really is. So It says that the DA's, okay, it says that uh, he had previously served 18 months in prison on drug charges more than a decade ago and was not afraid of returning to prison. He was not depressed, Mrs. Richardson said. Sheriff Valentine said the investigation pointed to Richardson being depressed about his legal situation. And they said, we have spoken with the mother of the late Valentine said. She seems to think that Mr. Richardson was depressed because his estranged wife had been giving him some problems. They had been separated. There were a lot of things going on in Mr. Richardson's life. Later, Ann Richardson said she and her husband were estranged, but they remained on good terms, and he often spent time with his children. And this is heavy. This is really, really heavy, but not surprising. So it's crazy, but what do you expect? This is still America. And I'm going to continue this article in about a minute because I believe we're almost finished with this article, but it's the way it looks right now, this is just ridiculous. How the story's playing out, this is ridiculous. But he basically said, so here we go. He said Richardson's mother, Bonita Richardson, denies that she told sheriff's investigators that her son was depressed. That ain't what I said, Bonita Richardson said. So in other words, the officers put words in his mother's mouth, which she said that's not what she told the officers. This is getting worse and worse, and so but this is getting crazy, guys. And the more I talk about this case, the worse it is, because there's still situations is happening, and you got people now that want to tell a lie saying, oh, well, he was self-deleted. This is story after story, and I told you, I've been covering lynchings for years, and every single story that I've done is still saying self-deletion, and realistically it isn't. So but it's going to get worse than it is. It's getting better because situations like this is continuing to happen to our people, and all because he refuses. So they said that my son was joyful. She said he didn't have any mental issues. He would never delete himself. He would never hurt himself. She said he did fear for his life. However, because of the lawsuit against Sheffield police officers, he would not have drove himself way out there almost to Mississippi, she said. Now, Mrs. Richardson and the body was found between Barton and Cherokee, Alabama, less than 15 miles from the Mississippi line, in an area that Richardson had no affiliation with. He was scared of the place like that, she said. Valentine said he knew no connections between Richardson and the abandoned house where he was found deleted. There was one questions why here, he said, but no one, not even family, they came to the scene. We spoke of a lot of the family there. We cannot find any connection to the property. Now, Ballantine said he was not previously aware of the federal lawsuit against members of the Sheffield Police Department, but yet he told the officers that, you know, we can let you go unless you not continue the federal lawsuit. He said we weren't aware of any of that. He said it was not our department, so we wouldn't be aware of any of it. But the family brought it in his attention. He said. But this is going to get worse before it gets better. And again, still the same thing. So we could continue this article in a second. Give me 1 second. Okay, they said this. We weren't aware of any of that. He said it was not our department, so we weren't aware of it. But the family brought it to his attention. He said, I know the family's expression some concern about it. Ballantine said, our agency's not involved in that. I think that may be one of the municipalities in this country. I didn't know there was a lawsuit until. So they claimed that there was no lawsuit. But then you told the brother not to, let you go, but we can let you go as long as you don't sue us, go to the feds. So they knew there was a lawsuit going on, but they're not going to say anything about it, which to me this is disturbing. So this is crazy, guys, and what people have to understand what we're facing now. That this is going on for quite some time. So at the end of the day, it's really crazy. I'm continue doing it now. We're still waiting for this article to continue, but it's getting even more disturbing when it happens. So, Mrs. Richardson says, quote, she paid for a private autopsy, but it could take months to get results. I know family requested a secondary autopsy. Whether or not that was done, you had to confirm with that, the family's Ballantine said. Now, Ballantine said he welcomed a federal investigation if any federal agency deems it warranted. But this is what I don't understand, guys. At first he said he did not want the feds involved, but now you say you want the feds to get federal warranty? So it continues to say, as far as our investigation goes, we want to be transparent, he said. We even placed a call in the U.S. Attorney General's office to see if they could maybe take a look at it also. It's just a request, but there is some concern thus far. This is, I told you, this is getting worse and worse when you read this article. And I'm sorry, guys. The feds need to be investigated. They need a full investigation. And they need to be, and again, it's basically corruption in the police department. So this is crazy how this thing came on, but we're going to read the last article in a second. But this is even more disturbing. People think it's self-deletion. So he says, as far as our investigation goes, we want to be transparent. He said he placed a call in the U.S. Attorney General's office to see if there could maybe take a look at it also. It's just a request because there's some concern as far as the family goes. We don't mind them coming and taking us to the case. But he told the officers, well, really the officers told him that they would let this man go if he doesn't file a lawsuit to the feds, to the U.S. Attorney's Office. And now y'all trying to say, well, they could go after the go to the U.S. Attorney General's office? This is ridiculous, guys. This is ridiculous. So Valentine tried to act like that he has no clue there's a federal investigation going on, even though the police told the guy that we will let you go if you don't report us to the feds, which he refused to do so. Wow. This is insane. So this guy, even though he wants federal agency involved in this, but the officers told the guy he don't want no feds. He don't want no lawsuit. He don't let you be robbed. So continue to say, Valentine, who has worked in law enforcement for 30 years, says self-deletion are emotional for relatives of the person who deleted. Anytime that there's a deletion, it's tragic. It is hard for family members or the family in general to just process how someone they know they care about. How could they do something like this? There are obvious indication that Mr. Richardson had been impressed. He had talked to friends and families about that, who was giving some of his property away. All indications in our investigation lead right back to self-deletion. But with that being said, whenever the family expresses those concerns, we want to be transparent, but I'm confident that investigation has found is going to be accurate. When you look at the level of what the general has concerns about, even the probation officer said plainly told him, I am not coming back. I am not coming.
Safe travels. Let's see on the next conference.
Wednesday, under the
Where y'all going? Where y'all going next? I'm not going there. Oh, yeah. But you'll get home? Oh, man. If I'd have known somebody on here, I probably would have stayed for that. Because I had plenty of time to pay it off. But I would have wanted to know somebody. Because I would have been going alone because he got to work. So I didn't want to be out. That would have been cool. Yep. So when's your next one? November 16th. Going on Jubilee, November 16th. I go on the 24th.
Efforts to reach Interesting.
Back in 25th, yeah, I go in November. I'm going in November. I get back just before Thanksgiving. Yeah, I'll get back right before that. I'll get back on the 24th.
At the same time, this is podcast. It's still going on.
I come back 23rd. And then I got the Jubilee again the following month.
So this is crazy.
I'm not going to be back home long enough to do Thanksgiving and I'll be gone again. But I'll be back by Christmas. So make sure I'm here with him. Make sure I'm there with him. We went for January 1st so we can get to cruising again. That's when his time starts back up at the post office.
supposed to retire from the post office.
Oh, y'all did?
So we know
And
that.
y'all looking all young and stuff too. He gonna be 57. He be done 30 years at 57 years old. Is that what y'all did? Around 30, around 40 when I retired. Yo, what year you come out? You retired at 57 too? You hear that?
Yeah. That's,
People at the post office be retiring early.
It was wear your body out. I was a carrier. It was wearing my body out.
Oh, you were carrying 9 months. What is it? A material handler?
I'm a mail handler.
Oh, okay. Plus he does the forklifting stuff too. They get certified. He gets to ride.
As soon as Sharon with the serve, this case was clear. We did a full investigation.
They used to work those shit. They have to lift them boxes and stuff with forklifting stuff.
Yeah,
You still got lift.
I just gotta lift that.
Hope you ain't got back problems by the time you come out. You got 8 more years. Enjoy it. My brother just retired from there. Man, my sister's still hanging in it. Wow. Is she younger than you? Huh? Is she younger than you? She's older than you? She's coming out after you? I technically started working for the government when I
This
was
is crazy, God. This is the idiotic.
technically started working
This
for the
dude,
government.
real this is stuff that he should. It was
So I started right.
people.
I started right. If I started working there,